On the docket for today's Philadelphia Eagles. Now, Eagles-Dolphins preview Week 7 matchup on Sunday Night Football. We're going to break down everything that you need to know in the lead-up to this game. But first, Rhode is everything that you need in your wardrobe, and they're sponsoring today's show. I'm wearing one of their commuter polos here, and you can get 20% off by using the code CHATSPORTS. And we'll put that link in the comment section as well as in the description of this video. These are all the reasons why I like Roan and everything that they have to offer. And their commuter collection, the world's most comfortable dress shirts, quarter zips, polos. I love their pants as well. It's high quality men's clothing. It's all breathable and stretchable fabric. Nowadays, I don't really like to wear cotton because it's not all that comfortable and it doesn't last long and the colors fade over time. Doesn't happen with Roan. What's also cool is that the more that you wear these shirts or the more that they hang up, wrinkles release. No need to go to the dry cleaner any longer, so you can save some of that money. Anti-odor technology, because who wants to be around somebody who's stinky, especially when you're on a date? And they have everything that you need to get swagged up with your wardrobe. So it's 20% off using the code CHATSPORTS at roan.com/chatsports. Look good like the Eagles will be looking fresh in those Kelly green jerseys on Sunday night. So the stage is set. Prime time. Battle of two of the best teams in the National Football League. The 5-1 Miami Dolphins traveling up north, South Philly at Lincoln Financial Field to play the 5-1 Philadelphia Eagles. This is a matchup between two of the top offensive teams in the National Football League. The Dolphins averaging an astounding 37 points per game. That's number one in the NFL. Their scoring defense, though, maybe an opportunity for Philadelphia's offense to get back on track after being shut down by the Jets last week. Miami, even with Vic Fangio as their defensive coordinator, giving up 26 points per game. That's 26th in the NFL. Philadelphia, on the other hand, after that clunker against the Jets, still averaging the 5th most points in the NFL. Can you imagine what they're going to be able to do if they figure out those red zone flaws? And then their scoring defense, a little bit better than Miami. They're giving up just under 3 touchdowns per game. Kickoff is set for 8:20 p.m. Eastern at the Link. The Eagles going to be rocking those Kelly green jerseys. And with fans tailgating all throughout the day, this atmosphere is going to be special. You look at the Eagles as 2.5-point favorites. The over-under for this game is 53.5. And because this is a matchup between two high-powered offenses, this is actually the largest point total across the National Football League this week. So we're going to see these two offenses butt heads. Fireworks could be blasting off in South Philly. It's going to be a fun atmosphere. I think it's going to be a really fun game as well. So we're going to dissect everything that you need to know going into this matchup. But first, this is today's poll question. This is also our pinned comment. So I want everybody down there to be bold and predict who gets the dub. Do the Eagles move to 6-1 or do the Dolphins move to 6-1? You let me know down in the chat. We'll be doing a watch party for this game, by the way, and because fittingly, the Eagles will be wearing their Kelly green jerseys, we're giving away a signed Kelly green Vince Papale jersey, as well as an Eagles hat that we will raffle off. We'll be live an hour before kickoff for this game. It'll be the best place to watch the game outside of being at Lincoln Financial Field. Pretty good coaching matchup in this one between a young, innovative offensive mind who's a protege of Kyle Shanahan and Mike McDaniel, and then Nick Sirianni, who all he does really is win a lot. And I think that because of that, he's become somewhat underrated just because he isn't that offensive scientist like McDaniel is. First ever matchup between these two coaches. The Dolphins and Eagles have only met twice dating back to 2015. Miami has won both of those games. Miami leads the all-time series 9-6. First time since 2015 that the Sunday Night Football matchup has featured two 5-1 or better teams. So this is a really good draw for NBC and hopefully a good ratings draw for us here on Eagles Now. Birds coming off their first loss, as we know, and I think that they need a get-right game against a really good opponent, and this serves as that ample opportunity to really put it all together and to let everybody know that the Eagles are still bringing it and still a threat to be a Super Bowl contender. They're still 5-1 Even though the sky is falling in Philadelphia after that listless offensive performance against the Jets, they're the defending NFC champs. Jalen Hurts, a special talent. He struggled a little bit of late coming off his worst game, so it could be a get-right game for this Eagles team as well as the individual in Jalen Hurts. And the Birds right now fighting the injury bug. The latest injury report as of Wednesday, so keep that in mind. Reed Blankenship did not practice because of a rib injury. Lane Johnson did not practice because of an ankle injury. More on him in a bit. Bradley Roby was out because of the shoulder injury that knocked him out late against the Jets. And a new addition to the Eagles injury report, wide receiver DeVonta Smith with a hamstring. I'd love to see him get going, and hopefully he can play in this game against a beaten down and thin Dolphins secondary that's been susceptible to giving up big plays. The good news on the injury front is that Jalen Carter and Darius Slay, who both missed last week's game against the Jets, they were limited participants. So too was Sidney Brown, who might be able to play as well. It's a college reunion of sorts as we focus in on the quarterback matchup between Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Hurts. We know the story by now that Tua replaced Hurts in the national championship, and Alabama ended up winning that game against Georgia a few years ago, and Hurts replaced an injured Tua then in the 2018 SEC championship game. Both top 3 in MVP odds right now. Tua at plus 350, Jalen Hurts at 8-1 odds, and Hurts is struggling a little bit. He's thrown 7 interceptions in 6 games. Those 7 picks, more than he had all of last year. He only had 6 interceptions last year, 8 total giveaways, and that's why he was the runner-up to Patrick Mahomes partially, just because of the ball security there, keeping it out of harm's way, and then the dual threat approach that he was able to give this Eagles offense. In 2022, 22 passing touchdowns, 13 rushing touchdowns, so 35 total, 8 total turnovers. This year, though, 7 touchdowns to 7 picks. Check out my Twitter at Chase_Senior. I did tweet out a side-by-side comp. Jalen Hurts through 6 games last year, through 6 games this year. Numbers are actually very similar, but the eye test tells you this year that things have been so much harder. What's also of note is Paul Hembekides, who's a producer for ESPN, Get Up partner alongside Mike Greenberg. The Eagles last year on RPOs were picking up 80-plus yards per game. This year, it's basically been slashed in half, so that's a little bit of an issue. Another issue, the Eagles' injury woes, and in particular, in the Eagles' secondary, going up against a Miami Dolphins offense that has speed, that is one of the leaders in pre-snap motion, which gives them an advantage pre-snap. Mike McDaniel is really creative, and Tua can air it out. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, 2 really, really good weapons. And then even though they're without Devon Achane, the rookie out of Texas A&M, the speedster who ran a 4.3 40-yard dash in the pre-draft process, they still have fast running backs. Raheem Mostert, one of them. And when we talk about this Eagles secondary, this is a reason why the defense has struggled a little bit. No continuity on that back end. 6 different starting secondaries in 6 games. They've had to play 15 different defensive backs. 6 corners and safeties have made their NFL debut at Philadelphia, and now the number 1 offense in the league is coming to town. The Dolphins, really, really elite. They are an energetic group, and they are an explosive unit on the offensive side of the football. They are number 1 in points per game. 37 points per game in today's NFL is wild. They're averaging nearly 500 yards of offense per matchup, 8 yards per play, also atop the NFL among all 32 teams. Touchdowns per game, number 1, and their third down percentage, pretty efficient, number 7 in the NFL, picking up about 44% of their third down opportunities. A massive key to this game, in my opinion, which teams and which team can finish in the red zone. Red zone touchdown percentage, I think, is going to determine this football game. The Miami Dolphins, when they get inside the 20, they're scoring a touchdown on nearly 81% of their drives. That's number 1 in the NFL. Last year, Philadelphia was one of the best in this category. This year, Philadelphia is one of the worst. They're finishing once they get in that red area at a 45% clip. that's 23rd in the NFL. Is this the game where the Eagles' red zone offense finally gets figured out? And if that's the case, that could allow them to go step for step with this explosive offense that's averaging 37 points per game. It will help if the Eagles have Lane Johnson on the field, because Philadelphia 84-48-1 when the Lane train plays, 13-22 when he does not. Brian Baldinger, NFL film guru, NFL insider, NFL analyst, he worked out with Lane Johnson this week because they like to work out a lot at Lane's little workout area at his crib. And he said that Lane Johnson is going to play this week. Hopefully that rings true for the best right tackle in football who has not given up a sack since 2020. With that, I ask you to predict the score. Birds, Dolphins, stage is set. It's going to be epic. Cannot wait for it. You let me know. My score prediction coming up here in a bit. Another key to this game for Philadelphia, attacking this Dolphins secondary. And that's why it's really important for Jalen Hurts to get back on track and to flush what happened in the Meadowlands last week. Good first three quarters and awful last quarter. Dolphins secondary has been exposed at moments this year, especially in the only loss this season. Josh Allen had 4 touchdowns. Stephon Diggs had 3 tutties. Could it be a big night for A.J. Brown? If Xavier Howard cannot go because he is injured as well, who will step up? A.J., second best receiver in the NFL right now in receiving yards, and he's one of the best in the NFL. Tyreek Hill is certainly up there too. You look at what A.J. has done in his last 4 games. This is one of the best runs for any wide receiver in the history of this Eagles organization. He's gone over the century mark in 4 consecutive games. It all started with that game against the Buccaneers in Week 3. You see, he went off there for a $131, then 175 against Washington as he owned Emmanuel Forbes. Against the Rams 2 weeks ago, 127, and last week against the Jets, one of the only players on the offensive side of the football who actually showed up. Another reminder, join us live for our watch party, Sunday Night Football, right here on Eagles Now. Make sure you subscribe, turn on those notifications. Therefore, when we do go live, you'll be able to hang out with us. My prediction for this game, I've seen this before where the Eagles are in need of a win. They had a lackluster performance the previous week, and a potent offense comes to Philadelphia, and they struggle a little bit. It's loud, the environment, Sunday Night Football, the pressure ratcheted up a little bit. And oftentimes in these types of games where I have a similar feeling to this week, the Eagles' pass rush goes off, and I think the Eagles' pass rush once again kind of stymies Tua Tagovailoa and this offense a little bit. They have their best game, and then Philadelphia works out their red zone woes. It's been a long time since Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts lost back-to-back games, and I think the Eagles win this one by 4, and they cover that 2.5-point spread in the process. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles. Can't wait for Sunday night and the lead up to that game. Content every single day. That's why you subscribe, and we'll catch you then.